human race. Preacher man say it's wonders and signs. We are living in the end of times. Where is the love we once used to know? Where is the kindness we used to show? The heart of man is so full of hate. Let's make a change before it's too late. Too much killing, too much blood spilling. Each and every morning, it's weeping and mourning. We've got to stop all the crimes, erase the violence, let our voice be heard. We can't sit in silence. The hope of tomorrow is in no use today. We've got to live in love. Crime and violence don't pay.
Good morning once more to all of our listeners. We are now in our Cop Chat segment here on Activated Mornings. This morning, joining us in studio, we have Mr. Alias Stapleton, Corporal of Police in the Information Technology Department, Miss Christina Butler, Police Constable 244 and with the Sexual Offences Unit, and Miss Crystal Walker, Police Constable 718, also in the Sexual Offences Unit. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are y'all feeling? Feeling great here at WEFM? Feeling amazing?
Yes, I'm feeling fine, thanks.
Wonderful.
I'm excited.
Oh, love that. And you, sir?
I'm blessed to be back here this morning.
Lovely, lovely. I'm going to give you a chance to introduce yourselves, let the listeners know which voice goes with which name. And because we only have one male this morning, with ladies first does not apply. So we're going to go with the gentleman first.
Good morning to all the listeners of this radio station. I am Corporal of Police alias Stapleton, and I am attached to the Royal St. Vincent and Grenadines Police Force, Information Technology, Cyber and Digital Forensics Department. It's good to be back with you this morning, and we have an interesting topic today as we commemorate Child Abuse Prevention Month, this month of April. And I'm here with members of the Sexual Offences Unit, and hopefully you get to take away little tidbits from us as we give you the inner world situation that's going on around St. Vincent and Grenadines as it relates to child abuse, and give you tips to help us and to help us curb the issue of this matter.
Good morning, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and those who are listening in the diaspora. I am Constable 244, Christina Butler. I am attached at the Sexual Offences Unit. Well, I'm glad to be here this morning. I want to enlighten you, the public, about child abuse, because we see so many children are suffering out there because of this sort of abuse that is going on in our community. And as the police, we're not only supposed to be investigating these sort of abuse, we should be preventing it. So why we're here today is to give you some preventative measures. And if so happens that your child is a survivor of abuse, you will know how to help them to go forward. So stay tuned to your seats. We have a lot of information for you.
Good morning, everyone.
Vibrancy. I like this.
I am Crystal Walker, Police Constable number 718. I'm stationed at the Kittles Police Station, and I'm attached to the Sexual Offences Unit. And I'm looking forward for a very informative program.
Right then. So our topic this morning is the impact of child abuse on our communities. Remember, you can call us if you have questions, if you have comments, 457-9997. I think we'll tell you when you can do so. All right. Or you can even contact us on WhatsApp as well. So we're going to get straight into the discussion. And I think we've been hearing this definition for a while now. But as we are speaking about child abuse, we must begin with the definition of child abuse, as well as the different types of child abuse.
So child abuse here refers to the action or inaction of a parent, a guardian, or of another person that may lead to the harm of a child. This could be intentional or via neglect, right? And it leads to a span of other um, incidents that occur to child abuse.
All right. And when you talk about the types of child abuse, you talk about the physical, the emotional, the psychological, and the sexual part of it. So with child abuse comes maltreatment of a child. It can be by an adult, and it also can be by another child as well. So you can bear in mind that adults alone don't abuse children. Children can abuse children as well.
Okay.
Right.
Notice financial wasn't listed in that.
But yes, financial as well.
All right, because when you have to family court, if a father, I'm sorry, men, but the father is not paying child support, that is also a form of
Child abuse.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. I'm curious that you mentioned the child on child abuse. I'm genuinely curious to know, what do you do in situations where you have child on child abuse?
Well, this is a span. This is what we see this and the element of mostly neglect, and you'll get that from your peers, right? Child and child abuse is more or less named as peer and peer abuse, and you get that from how a child treats another child. It could be a sibling, it could be another student in the class, and in St. Vincent, in my department especially, we deal with that more or less on cyberbullying. You understand? You have persons going out of their way to rag on other children, to criticize them, to put their images on different platforms in the illest of ways. And this has a great psychological impact on these kids. And because we as parents don't monitor these spaces, and we don't keep, for us, once a child is here physically with us, we know where they are, they're in their rooms, they're here with us. We don't we don't put much attention to what they're doing in cyberspace. And there is where most of what we see, the child and child abuse, the peer and peer abuse, been occurring right now.
Okay. So for let's say both of us are children, and I upload some sort of image on the internet of you that I'm not supposed to. What would happen to me?
Well, you see, I'll first cite this. The age of criminal responsibility still in St. Vincent and Grenadines is 8 years old. Okay. So once you do that, you have committed an offense. And once reported, the police will investigate it. Whether the DPP's office or the police itself choose to go a different way, it will be investigated. You will get yourself in trouble.
But how does the law treat a child though? All right, okay. Let me leave that for now. Let me leave that for now.
Once a child.
Okay. Let me try explain it. Okay, so you know that there is an age where you can be found criminally, I think, is liable.
Yes, 8 years old.
Also from 8
years old, yes.
Even with regards to cyberbullying.
Even when you regards to cyberbullying. Okay,
so that was the question. All right,
cyberbullying and the cyberbullying comes under the Cybercrime Act, and that has some stiff penalties under it. And people, without even knowing it, you have to go out of your way to thief something. You know what the act is, and because persons don't know, they're not informed about the Cybercrime Act and how easy it is to get implicated. A lot of persons find themselves on the wrong side of the law.
Okay, so I'm looking at the innocence of children in a sense, right? Yes. While it is for an adult, you would say ignorance of the law is no excuse.
It's the same.
When it comes to a child,
it's the same. And this is why I said that the neglect part of this, which parents fail to supervise their children, especially on these spaces, you understand, and these platforms, especially there, they go out and do things that they believe to be, is justified. Okay. And we see the same actions with with adults too, full-blown adults. And most of what we get when somebody gets themselves in trouble is, I didn't know I couldn't do that.
So with regards to children, is the messaging being sent to them directly in schools that if you do such and such, you can be found criminally?
Not enough.
Okay.
Not enough. We
Okay.
try to sensitize people. We try both departments, sexual offences unit and my department. We go out in schools and we do sensitize people, and persons, but it's not enough. You know, we don't even get the parents involved. Even though we get the teachers and the kids, and we try to inform them, we don't get as much parent involvement as we should.
Okay. All right. So we have a question here that I want to ask before we happen to forget, right? So somebody is saying, if a parent neglects a child from seeing and spending time with the other parent, can that be considered as abuse as well?
I believe so. And fathers especially are on that late wavelength. You have parents actually holding their child back from their parent because you have some sort of malice against the person. And not until the child goes wayward, you actually crave for that parent's involvement. And we see that a lot.
So because we have a wide audience, what advice would you give to a parent who actually wants to be able to be in their child's life, but the other parent is withholding that child from them? What steps can they take to find
First
redress?
and foremost, the only advice I get when these situations arise is go to the family court.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
All right, then. One final question on the child abuse. Yes, I'm aware that the child can be held accountable from age 8. They could be charged for crime from age 8. Can you have a situation where a child commits a crime and the parent says, I want to take the fall for my child. I don't want my 9-year-old or my 10-year-old facing criminal charges. Can the charge be transferred to me? Have we had any case like that? Or what would happen if there's a case like that?
I don't think that can happen because it's not the parents who committed the crime. It's the child is the one who committed the crime. So the child has to pay the price for the crime they committed.
Yeah. But normally when you see these things are happening, when the children get themselves involved, the child doesn't go on the bench by himself. It has to be accompanied by a parent, a guardian. So you are standing right next to your child. And in most cases, you're the one ending up paying the penalty if it's a fine. You are the one responsible for paying that back. You understand? So in some sense, even though you're not the one faced with the charge itself, you're the one actually has to be the one that to do,
Okay. All right then. So, all right, I'm done with that. And now we're going to go into the child abuse. So, yeah, you mentioned several types of abuse. I believe that most of us are familiar with physical abuse and what's the other abuse? And sexual abuse. Yes. So those are the most popular. But what about psychological and emotional abuse? Let's get into that.
Okay, so emotional abuse has to be frequently verbal abuse, right? Where you use insults to the child. You might say, oh, you look worthless like your mommy, or yelling or threat. If you don't do this, I'm not going to feed you. Okay, that can affect the child emotionally.
But these are the types that are not actually regulated by law. You understand how you're going to charge somebody for emotional abuse, right? But then you're seeing it in the child's behavior, change in attitude and stuff like that. You understand? And as Walker said rightfully, you get it from home sometimes, in most cases. And they impact their self-esteem so great that they can be easily picked off by predators out there. The mommy always call the child ugly. But as soon as somebody goes out and, hey, beautiful, you gone. And you wonder why. Yeah? So we see these things. And this is, as I said, this is not regulated. This is not regulated by law. Can arrest somebody. Doesn't have any charges on book right now to arrest somebody for that. And this is one of the most dangerous forms of child abuse out there.
All right, so stemming from that, though, what are some of the misconceptions that we have in society with regards to child abuse, or things that we tend to see that, that sort of passed down through the ages that we did not recognize was a form of abuse? Any instances concerning?
All right. So what the society has is like child abuse is geared towards a specific type. It doesn't have anything that says, oh, because I am less fortunate or because I don't have my father around. It can happen to anybody. And society has to open their eyes and realize that it doesn't dignify or it doesn't pick a specific person. It can happen to anybody. All right?
As well, let me add to that too. One of the misconceptions that are out there is that people believe that child abuse is just physical as well too. They don't really see the other forms as actually child abuse. Yeah.
Another misconception, right? We tend to shelter our girls too much, but our boys are also victims of child abuse.
I'm glad she raised that, you know.
And we have to protect our boys as
Exactly.
equally as our girls. So that is one of the misconceptions that I think we have in the society.
I am really glad she raised that because I normally have arguments with their departments, especially with this. Because I know the laws of St. Vincent and the Grenadines move to offer more protections for females than they do boys, right? I know the age of consent for one of them, for me, specifically geared towards females. The laws, if you have sex with a female a girl, it states a girl under the age of 15, right? But above the age of 13, is that I'm right? And a girl under the age of 13. It doesn't have the boy element in there. So what I'm saying, if a 20-something-year-old woman has sex with a 14-year-old boy and it's consensual, what can you do?
And that's the thing, it can't be consensual because he's still a minor. He's a minor.
But
yeah.
where the laws is to,
Yeah.
to support that thing.
All right. One of the things, and that is why I was asking the questions in terms of what may have passed down through the generations that we don't even recognize as a form of abuse. The bigger child, a mother has 5 children, right? Or there are 5 children in a household, and the biggest child has to take care of all the younger ones. Would you consider that a form of abuse, child abuse?
Of course. In my opinion, because a child has to be a child. They should be given the liberty, the freedom to go to school, obtain their education. A child should not be a parent at the age of 8 or 9. And when this is brought to our attention, we then contact the Child Protection Unit. They're very important. We speak to them and we let them know of the situation. They will go in, do their assessment, do the relevant that they have to do. So society, parents have to allow children to be children. Let them play game cricket in the road if they have to. Let them go out and have fun, learn a skill, do athletics. You should not withhold them from enjoying their childhood.
I think we have a lot of child abuse that's just taking
Yeah,
place.
and we don't recognize it. And this is why a lot of persons, you go through life, and we talk about childhood trauma, but it's a term that we're using now, but it's something that many persons would have experienced as an adult. And when you look back on things that you're going through now, you realize it stemmed from back then.
I
So
have many older persons that told me I didn't go to school because I had to take care of my siblings.
Yeah.
I didn't get an education. And I think this was highlighted a lot for us recently in the pandemic when students had to do their classes virtually. A lot of teachers found that their students may be taking care of their other sibling while and in these cases maybe it's a single parent home and the parent has to work. In these cases, and we found a lot of those situations. But what do we do in a situation like
Well,
that?
I was about to ask that question. What do we do? Have you ever had a case where you've charged a parent for that particular type of child abuse here?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Could a child complain about it though? Could they walk into the police station and say, listen, I am tired of having to take care of my brothers and my sisters?
Of course.
Yeah?
Of course.
Okay.
We have to
course.
bear in mind that children have voices and we are to listen to them. Let our children speak. Sometimes we withhold our children from speaking, and some of these things that we're withholding them from is what can change an entire situation. So we have to listen to our children.
I like that because one of the things I've noticed is in our society, we love to call children rude. Now, I'm not saying that they will have some that exhibit some of those qualities, but one of the things we love to call people rude for is for speaking up and speaking out for themselves. The minute somebody is a little bit too vocal, all of a sudden this child is rude, and I think that shuts down a lot of people because you're told you're rude, you shouldn't do this, you're rude every time they try to speak up for themselves, and eventually that they lose their voice. They become a quiet person. They no longer speak about anything. So, yeah.
Yes.
All right. So, in all of that we're discussing, how can we help to prevent, before it gets to this particular stage, what can we do as a society to prevent child abuse?
Report. I don't think persons are reporting enough. I want to encourage persons to report. Be that nosy neighbor. You see something that is going wrong, you suspect something, call the police and make a report.
Which you now walk away is a salient point there, and we don't have much of that. And one of the things I know I addressed it here already. This concept of minding your own business. So where a parent may neglect, they might have a boyfriend that have been doing something to a child, and the child reports it to the mother, and the mother refuses to entertain that, and you as a neighbor may see it. But in most cases, that when you as a community member notices something like that, you pass it off and say, it's their business. They mind my own business, and we need to move away from that and become a community again, a community that raises children.
The
You
village,
understand? A
village raising
yes,
children.
man. We need to go back to that way.
And added to that, we can prevent child abuse if we have the knowledge. Because sometimes I've seen it, schools will organize sessions with parents to bring them alert and bring them aware, even the churches, and it is so poorly attended. You have to show up and be there for your child. Some sort of information you could get can save your child from being abused, whether physically or whether sexually. So parents, we are to be present in our children's life, and we have to show up and get information in order to prevent, because the information that you get will help you in the long run to prevent the abuse from happening.
Okay. All right. So let's speak directly to children themselves, because we recognize that you might be calling on parents to be parents, but there are some parents who just will never be a parent, right? How do children know what their rights are? What method or medium is used to inform them of what their rights? What steps can they take if, let's say, they're being abused? What can they do? Because they have a voice. They may not be able to use their voice through their parent or to their parent, but what can they actually do to be a bit more proactive?
Okay.
So, children, you can build a relationship with your teachers. Sometimes a child may not open up to their mother or their father at home, but they have their favorite kindergarten teacher who they love. So children, you should not be afraid to speak to the person that you can trust. And that person who you can trust will also help you to control your feelings or your emotion, whatever situation. They may seek help for you in whatever way they can. So find that person you trust, that person you love, and that person you think can stand up for you, and build that confidence in them.
And for what I would add to what Butler had to say, by saying that if you know of something, you know that your friend is going through something, speak up. Don't hold that information that your friend tells you. Tell somebody else. If your friend is scared, of telling somebody, you tell them. There's no secret when it comes to abuse. Your friend might come to you and tell you, okay, keep this a secret. There's no secret there. It cannot be any secret there. Tell somebody. That is the time that you should go and tell somebody that my friend is being abused. We need help. And we don't want it to come to a situation where the next time you hear about your friend, something bad happened. And then you rest with that weight on your shoulder. Should I have told somebody?
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything? All right. Well, I know that recently we saw I think a case like that where I think the girl was being abused. She was being sexually abused. And she told her best friend, somebody who was the same age as her. And that friend was who alerted, I think it was her mother. So it came to the attention of the police as a result. So, yeah, approach who you feel safest with. And I suppose this is also where parents need to have a good relationship with their children so that they can feel comfortable coming to them, even if it concerns other children.
Very good.
Yes.
Right?
And in that light, I would like to say thank you for those persons who have came forward on behalf of their friend.
Right.
All right. So somebody here is, they're making a point. Families under financial pressure may struggle with frustration leading to neglect or abuse. So what sort of, advice based on what you have seen in terms of being in that field of experience, what sort of advice can you give to parents who, let's say, might be under financial strain? What suggestions do you have so that it doesn't end up affecting the children negatively?
And I know that aspect, the financial strain, is something that is plaguing a lot of families. But it's still child abuse if you leave your child unattended. You neglect your child to go and earn something. It's still that. My advice would be to seek assistance. You might not get it from your friend. Seek assistance as much as you can. Go to the government. They have outlets for these things. Leaving your child at home and say, well, I have no other choice. You understand? I rather you take your child to your job with you than to leave them at home. And in many cases, we have seen that happen. And all to find out later that the house may have burned down or something bad may have happened. Somebody may have exploited your child. Somebody, you might. I have seen situations where persons leave a friend or somebody in the neighborhood with their child, and that person end up molesting the child. So I rather you seek assistance, and if you don't find assistance, and you have to, put yourself in the way. But neglect is neglect. Child abuse is child abuse. Whether you do it in an event to go and earn money or whatever it is still abuse.
Right.
I think help is always available. You just have to know where to go. As the corporal said, there's a Ministry of Mobilization that is normally will help person. So seek help.
And family court is also there if you
Always
need
there.
financial, to have the other parent play their role. Go to family court as well.
Yes, always there.
All right. So what we will do right here is take a short ad break, and then we will be right back with more of our questions to finish
Okay, so-
up.
okay.
Okay.
The person call back.
So, all right. So we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, you can feel free to call us 457-9997 with your questions or your comments.
That could have been you. An accident that could have been avoided because your tires had almost no grip on the road. Safety is a factor that should never be overlooked when it comes to your car or whatever you drive. SVG Tire Sales and Services in Balls Avenue and in Arnisvale carries a wide selection of quality new tires to fit any car, truck, minibus, or SUV, so you can experience a comfortable and safe commute every time. We are agents for the world's most reliable brands on and off the road, including Kenda Tires, the king of the mountain; Cooper Tires, king of the road and track; Ostone, the king of the outback; and High Fly, the king of the Asian highway. We also carry new tires for light or heavy-duty trucks from MRF, High Fly, and Linglong. A reliable set of new tires keep you, your passengers, and your payload always in the safe lane. So when you need quality tires with reliability at 100%, choose SVG Tire Sales and Services in Kingstown, 457-1467, or in Arnisvale, 457 456-444. SVG Tire Sales and Services. Performance and reliability proven when the rubber meets the road.
Grab a high room and come along. Be a hero, stand up strong. High room beer where you belong. When the D-Max so sleep.
High room lovers, Vincentians, hear this. Are you ready to step into the Heroes Club and claim your chance to win a brand new 2025 Isuzu D-Max pickup? Here's how it works. Purchase a high room. Check under the crown for the letters HERO. Collect all 4 letters. Place them in an envelope with name, address, contact number, and the name of our first national hero. And enter to win. Easy to the max. Heroes celebrate. Raise your high road. Feel the pride. And spell your way to victory. Be a hero. Drink high road.
Like a hero through SVG Street.
Hold your own. 40 years and counting.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's a whole new world out there. Reaching new customers and getting products faster. That's what it's all about. Ocean freight rates are skyrocketing, so don't pay more for slower service. It's time to switch to faster, more reliable air cargo service with SkyMax Cargo. Up to 3 flights weekly to and from the USA, Puerto Rico, and the Caribbean islands. Providing excellent import, export, and e-commerce solutions to put you ahead of the competition. For special low rates on small packages and air cargo, contact SkyMax today. 784-456-5400. Local agents SwiftPack, Interprime Cargo. Call 784-456-5400 to book your shipments today.
Little boy, how we looking? Know your place. Who you calling, little boy? I have big news. Kendra's Aluminum Products 2 days mega yard sale is coming back. Friday and Saturday, April 11th and 12th from 8 a.m. at our factory compound. Camden Park with bubble like a bouillon rhythm with low prices on aluminum windows, metal doors, wooden doors, vanity face basins with cabinets, bathtubs, jacuzzis, kitchen sink, Nutri-Bullet, solar sliding gate opener, kitchen appliances from Jake's Kitchen, and a whole lot more. Yeah, baby. Kendra's Aluminum Products 2-day sale is back April 11th and 12th from 8 a.m. Nobody going to love you like we do. Kendra's Aluminum Products, a tradition of excellence.
Nothing else sounds as good as
WEFM, the clean, fresh sound.
Cop Chat. You've got questions for the police? They're here to give you the answers on WEFM 99.9.
The world has become such a cruel place. Something is wrong with the human race. Preacher man say it's wonders and signs. We are living in the end of times. Where is the love we once used to know? Where is the kindness we used to show? The heart of man is so full of hate. Let's make a change before it's too late. Too much killing, too much blood spilling. Each and every morning, it's weeping and mourning. We've got to stop all the crimes, erase the violence, let our voice be heard. We can't sit in silence. The hope of tomorrow is in our use today. We've got to live in love. Crime and violence don't pay.
We are back with our Cup Chat discussion here on WEFM. In studio, along with Roleza and I, we have Mr. Elias Stapleton, Miss Christina Butler, and Miss Crystal Walker, all police officers with the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force. And this morning, we're discussing the impact of child abuse on our communities. If you have questions, you can call us 457-9997. You can get us on the landline as well as WhatsApp with that number. All right. Now, my first question, as we're back. what happens in cases where sexual abuse is reported and investigations probably, let's say, they begin, and somewhere along the line of the investigation the child says, okay, I don't want to go through with this anymore, or they probably say, oh well, this thing didn't happen, and all of a sudden, there's just that issue of them not wanting to go forward with the case, or them deciding to withdraw their story or something like that. What happens then?
All right. So in that case, we just don't leave it at that. Sometimes it may be a particular reason why this child may not want to go through. Maybe they're not getting the support from their parent or their siblings, or
Maybe they were threatened.
the stigma out there. They're so ashamed. So we try to give them counseling. We try to support them. Witness care protection is there as well. So we work with them, and we see before they make that. Sometimes when you do work with these children, you find out they don't really want not to go through with this matter. It's just that they just need somebody to know that they're supporting them, somebody's there for them, and we give them that opportunity. So at the Sexual Offences Unit, once this is brought to attention, we follow up. Normally, we do follow up on our survivors, but once they reach to that stage, we work with them. We don't leave them just like that before we make, I say, okay, let's just put this aside. No, we don't put things aside like that. We work with our children continuously, support them, look for avenues, counseling, activities, and see how best we can help them from there onward.
Curious question. If a parent accepts money to have a matter go away, can that parent be charged if it comes to the attention of the police? All right, so we have a caller, so could answer that after. Hi, caller, good morning. Hello, good morning. Caller, good morning. All right, so we're not hearing you, so you can try calling back, please. All right. Mm-hmm.
All right. So once it is brought to attention, we investigate it. Parents should not be taking bribes. Your child priority comes first. So we have the opportunity. We take this very seriously, right? We don't back down on this. So we investigate it, and then we take necessary measures. Sometimes we submit our findings to the Director of Public Prosecutions. They're the ones who really prosecute in court, so they will guide us accordingly. So parents don't think that you can be out there taking bribes and get away with it scot-free. No.
So a child can say, so my mother accepted money, could come into the police, report it. My mother accepted money from my abuser or whoever it was to have this matter go away.
Yes.
A child can report that.
Yes.
They can.
Okay.
And once we have that bit of knowledge, we do our investigation. So once it's brought to our attention.
And we have legislation to come that helps us to alleviate that issue. Once something has been reported, you can't just pull out.
Okay.
You can't just say, we don't want to go forward with this anymore. So they have legislation for that. That's not as yet enacted, but and the wavelength coming. Yeah.
Okay. And as we're talking about laws, what laws are currently there to protect children?
Okay, so there is the Child Adoption Act. So according to the Child Care and Adoption Act of 2010, right, it's a criminal offense for a person who provides healthcare, whether it's a nurse or a doctor, child care services, whether a teacher, counselors, police officers, right? So if you have knowledge that the child is being abused and you don't come forward, you can be convicted of a fine not exceeding $5,000 or 3 months imprisonment. And these are also mandatory persons that have to report.
Okay. There is also the Juvenile Act. In this act, that covers the rights of the child. As a child, under the Juvenile Act, a child is anyone under the age of 18. So the Juvenile Act also covers children. So what we miss in the Child Care and Adoption Act, we pick it up in the Juvenile Act.
I look like of all segments of law to protect human life, human rights, right? But as from my standpoint, my department will I will always push the Cybercrime Act. So any act that is committed by the use of some form of technology or a network peripheral, maybe a flash drive or whatever it is covered by the Cybercrime Act. All right, and you have cyberbullying there and child pornography. And I'm urging everybody, and I know this is a big thing. This is one of the main issues is that persons are not educated on what is out there, what they can and can't do. And it's very easy to usually to get implicated by the Cybercrime Act, especially where it goes to child pornography. Well, we see cases right now with the circulations of illicit images and videos of children. And by you just storing that video on your phone, you could be implicated on offense. You understand? So I'm urging everybody to go out there and be educated on the laws that are there. Ignorance to the law is no excuse. You can't say that I didn't know and let that form part of your defense. It would not form part of your defense.
Okay. So somebody on the you wanted to say something else? Okay.
And there's also the criminal code that governs sexual offenses as relates to children also.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So somebody on the live is saying a lot of abuse, especially physical and neglect, is observed and reported at the school level. And their opinion is that they don't think that enough is doing to the perpetrators and the process takes too long. Can you speak to that? Especially what is it with the roles of schools? Because teachers would interface and interact with children on a daily basis. They would notice the change in their behavior, and they have a bit more insight into what might be happening with a child. So what is the role of the schools with regards to child abuse reporting matters, and can you speak to addressing about the process if their opinion taking too long?
Well, when it comes to incidents happening in school or brought to the attention of the teachers have a responsibility, of course, to report the matter. However, there's certain steps. Some people might think it may take long, but it's not really taking that long because you have to go to the Ministry of Education. You have to do your investigation. Investigation is not something that we just rush through like that. It takes time because the purpose is to establish the truth. So once you want to get to the truth, you have to fine tune and go through certain things. So it is not a matter of taking time. It's just that, and we deal with it in a confidential manner as well, because some people will think, oh, I'm not hearing anything about this. This is not for you to hear. This is for the persons who are investigating and the persons involved to hear. So all this will stem when the matter is reported. It's a step forward, one step today, another step tomorrow. Counseling is involved, ministry is involved, because if it happens in the school, maybe one of the child may have to move from the school, stuff like this. So it is not about taking long. It is about working behind the scenes. Again, we are protecting the survivors, because if everybody knows what is going on, how will this survivor feel? How will they face tomorrow if I'm to go to a different school? The stigma, the discrimination. So bear in mind that happens, and just be patient. If you are to know what is to go on, you will definitely know what is going on.
I am cognizant of the process and the steps taken to protect and make sure that the victim is taken care of. And even though I am actually hopeful right now that the process can actually evolve. I know right now, after a person is being charged and enters the case is tried two places, the family court and then moves on to the high court if the family court deems that the evidence is enough to go on. And that process to me is a little lengthy, and hopefully in the future that can be cut down, shortened a bit, because persons tend to lose interest because of it. And you have to be cognizant that you're taking a child that maybe before and you're taking them, you're asking them to relive that situation over and over again. You understand? So I am hopeful that the system will actually evolve. You understand? Because I do believe that there's an issue with the length of time that something takes to be addressed.
Okay. So someone posted a thought here on the live, but they're asking a question with regards to truancy, right? So we see children on the streets of Kingston during school time. This, of course, is going to be some form of abuse. As police officers, when you see children on the streets, what happens in this case?
That's
A deep one?
well, you see, this as police officers, we are for me. I could only speak on my end because I normally meet kids in town. When I go town, sometimes I'm making a run to Subway and I'm trying to beat the dead when Subway is closing, and I normally meet kids there, standing outside. I'm asking, "Who are you?" And they're asking for money, and I ask, "Who are you? What's your name? Do you go to school?" And the last time, I think it's 2 weeks ago, a child told me that I have his name saved in my phone. That he lives in Camden Park and he doesn't go to school. He was suspended. Well, not suspended, expelled from school. And he's not more than 13 years old, I believe. You understand? And we do have an issue with that. Yeah.
So you can finish that thought, and let me see that we have a call. Hi, caller. Good morning. Hi, caller. Good morning. All right, caller, we're not hearing from you at all. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Go ahead. So, and I would normally call national mobilization. I would actually call. I know my friend at Ministry of Education, the truancy officer, and I will pass the information on to them with the hope that they would address certain issues. And as police officers, we know if we see persons on the road, we pick them up sometimes, ask them who the parents are, and call them. And bring them in, talk to them, and then release the kids in their care. That's the process. It should happen, but it doesn't happen like that always. But you normally see persons, like especially these kids, all around the place. You see them all the way, and these kids are there, and they are easily exploited.
We also have to bear in mind that everybody has a responsibility, not just the police. The society has a responsibility. The child care unit has a responsibility, child protection. The schools have a responsibility because if a principal or class teacher, let's start from the class teacher is not seeing this child coming to school on a regular basis, bring it to the attention of the principal. The principal will follow his chain of command. You're a neighbor and you're seeing that your neighbor's daughter is not going to school or the son is on the street. You bring it to the attention of somebody who can help assess the situation and have this matter resolved in the quickest possible time. So it's not just the police, everybody has a responsibility.
Perfectly said.
And what would you say? Because we recognize that we have neighbors sometimes they're struggling, right? A mother is struggling to raise her children. She might be a single parent, right? What practical suggestions could you probably give so that we can have that sense of community? Not so much in reporting abuse, but let's do what things can we do to prevent it even getting into a situation where she might abuse her children in the different forms of abuse that exist.
First and foremost, as a neighbor, don't turn a blind eye. Get involved. Go and have a conversation with the parent. If they're not susceptible to what you're saying, or they're not, you take it further. You have to be that inquisitive person. And it's because we are turning a blind eye to certain things why other incidents like this are actually breeding in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's because of this mentality that that's not my business, right? So you have to be that inquisitive person. You don't have to be a neighbor, that you're an inquisitive individual that is going to make sure that, all right, then I'm seeing certain forms of child abuse here and I'm not going to let it go unanswered. I'm going to do my part to ensure that these kids actually well taken care of. You understand? And we see recent incidents, which I will not really get into, that surrounds this. It goes to that as well. And the Butler mentioned the teachers. They have the nurses too. A child comes to you and it's malnourished. Do something about it. Just don't release the child into the parents' care and say, Go and make sure the child gets something to eat. You have a duty of care as well. It's not just the police. Every one of us. You have to be that inquisitive. You have to be that inquisitive person. That person is not going to let it go because somebody said, mind your business. Go and do something about it.
Any thoughts? Any additional?
I would also say to we as a society, I might know the way, but my friend may not know the way. I'm seeing my friend constantly beating on the child. I could have a friendly conversation and said, think of somewhere else to punish the child. Thoughtful punishment. You could
discipline.
Discipline, right? Sorry. Yes. So if I may not know how to deal with the situation, I can say, okay, I need to know how to do it. Let me check somebody else or let me source some sort of information. And if you see it and you figure that you can help in that capacity. You can say, don't beat up on this child like this. You could punish the child somehow. You could take them to church. These sort of things. The church have a role to play as well. So all of us has a role to play, and we should seek different avenues or different areas in which we can help the child.
Okay.
Question. I think this may be my final question. Do adult men get arrested, convicted, charged for getting underage girls pregnant?
Yes, they do.
Yes.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
Yes. They
Well, I just want to know. Just want to know.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
So once the matter is reported to the police or the police has information, we do our investigations. Some of these matters, they go all the way up to the High Court. And we have seen in recent times, we have seen a lot of convictions. I don't know how many persons may follow in the news. But in the family court, you may not hear about it because it's a private setting. But when it also gets to the High Court, and conviction take place, yes.
And I know the police is synonymous with the detection part of it, but I'm a proponent for prevention. We can do a lot more to prevent the child pregnancies. We could do a lot more.
When you say we, police or society?
Community, citizens and grenadines. Everybody could do a lot more to prevent these things from happening. It is bad to see a 13-year-old girl pregnant. And you ask, the first thing you ask is, how can this happen? But you're seeing them out there and nobody's asking any questions about them. So I am a proponent for prevention, and a lot, if we just get up and do something about these things, we could prevent a lot more from happening. And they do happen in St. Vincent a lot.
All right, so stemming from that question, when a 13-year-old shows up to the hospital to give birth, or an underage child shows up to give birth, are the police called in and do they question that child?
Yes.
Yes.
Do they question the child in front of the parents or by themselves?
No. Mobilization has what we call case workers. They will be contacted and they work along with the police. So a parent does not necessarily have to be present when the police is questioning the child.
Okay. I have a lot more questions in relation to that, but we would leave that for another program. All right.
In situations like this, the nurses, the teachers, persons in these institutions have a legal obligation to report it.
They are mandated to.
They are mandated. They have a legal responsibility to report it. And where these persons do not report it, they are acting out of their legal obligations.
Still have my questions, but all right. So to wrap up on this morning's program, so yes, we are in the Child Abuse Prevention Month. So what activities are being held for this month that the police are organizing?
Right. So the Sexual Offences Unit on Wednesday, 16th of April, 2025, will be hosting a panel discussion in Rose Hall at the New Testament Church of God from 5 p.m. So I am inviting persons from Rose Hall to come out to listen what the police have to say.
Right. And there will also be a panel discussion the following week on the 23rd at the Sandy Bay Gospel Chapel. So again, where it's the panel is you have some vibrant people who will be on the panel. So the entire North Windward community, we're inviting you. Trust me, there will be a lot of information for you to capture. And when things like this, we need to take the opportunity at the earliest possible time. In addition to that, we have regular pop-ups at our preschools, at our clinics, at our churches. So you just call and ask if you think that you want us to be present. You just call and request, and we will be available for you because, as I said, the police, we want to prevent it before we investigate it. So look out first in your communities, in your churches. When schools reopen, we are in the schools, we're in the preschools, we're everywhere. We are everywhere. So look out for the sexual offences unit for the entire month of April.
Okay. All right, so we're just going to leave you, give each of you 30 seconds to leave your final thoughts with us with regards to our topic for this morning.
The only thing that I want to leave with everybody is get educated on the laws of St. Vincent and Grenadines Police Force. Child abuse prevention is not just the police's business; it's all of our business. So be inquisitive, people. Don't get rid of this notion that the business that you should mind is just your own. You understand? And this is why so much issues are befalling St. Vincent and the Grenadines right now. So much problems that we have with crime right now is because you are not involved. You are turning a blind eye to it. So I'm telling everybody just to get more involved with it. Crime fighting is everybody's business, not just the police's.
All right. So my tip, I'll leave more so are to the children. I want to let them know that they're special. They are in their own way. Everybody's special in their own way. They are our future generations. And you are to respect yourselves as well as respect others. Because respect goes a long way. And with respect comes love, unity, and everything else. To the parents, love your children. Be there for your children. Your children have a voice. Listen to your children. And we would have great things in store. Once our children are protected, we have a lot to get from in store from our children.
Okay, so parents, guardians, once a child come and tell you, mommy, daddy, I'm being abused, believe them and report the matter.
And don't be the abusers either. All right.
Right.
All right, then. So that brings us to the end of our Cop Chat segment here this morning. We were speaking on the topic, the impact of child abuse on our communities. We had Corporal Elias Stapleton and Constables Christina Butler and Crystal Walker here with us this morning. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. And it was nice being here.
We were happy to have you.
Yes. Yes. It's now 9:06.